absolute value of a real number x is the distance of x from the origin, that is its magnitude, the magnitude of the real number x. So if you are talking of the number line, the real number line that start from the origin 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to positive infinity, this other side negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4 up to negative infinity. So when we talk of the distance from the origin, is, for example, if our real number is negative 3, then the distance from negative 3 to the origin is 3, and we denote the absolute value of negative 3 is 3. The magnitude of negative 3 is 3. You'll notice that it is the same as the magnitude of 3. The distance of real number 3 from the origin is also 3. The distance from the origin to the real number 3 is 3. Therefore, we can say that the absolute value of x, a real number x, is either x if x is greater than or equals to 0, or negative x if x is less than 0. So if you want to find, for example, the absolute value of negative 8, that's the distance from negative 8 to the origin is 8. The absolute value of 11, how far is 11 from the origin? It's 11 units. The absolute value of negative 11 is 11. So for example, if you have the absolute value of a number x is 7. The absolute value of a real number x is 7. So what is x? So it is either x is 7 or x is negative 7. X is negative 7. So these two numbers, x is 7 and x is negative 7, both are 7 units from the origin. So the absolute value of 7 is 7. The absolute value of negative 7 is also 7. We can go on and have some more examples. For example, suppose we have the absolute value of x. The absolute value of x is 13. the absolute value of x is 13. What is x? So it means that either x is positive 13 or x is negative 13. So in general, if we have the absolute value of x is a positive number a, then x is a or x is negative a. X is negative a. Note, if the absolute value of x is equals to negative 3, negative a, this is invalid, because the absolute value, the actual distance, the magnitude, cannot be negative value. Example. Next, find x. Find the real number x if the absolute value of x is less than 7. The absolute value of x is less than 7. So it actually implies that this value x is actually a range. That distance from the origin to the point x, or the fixed real number x, should be always less than 7. So it means either x is less than 7 or greater than negative 7. So it means that it is that range between negative 7 and positive 7, less than positive 7, but greater than negative 7. So x is greater than negative 7. It is the range from negative 7 to 7 exclusive. So any value here, you'll find that its absolute value will be less than negative 7. Will be less than 7. For instance, if you take negative 6, the absolute value of negative 6 is less than 7, because 6 will be less than 7. If you take another example, find x if the absolute value of x is greater than 7. Is greater than 7. Now this greater than, the previous example was less than. So again, it means that x must be greater than 7, that is 1. If you have 0 there, assume this is our 7. X is greater, the absolute value of x is greater than 7. It means that that number must be greater than 7. It's any number above 7. For example, 8. The absolute value of 8 is greater than 7. 8 is greater than 7. On the other side, it can be any value less than 7. For example, if you take the absolute value of negative 8, the absolute value of negative 8 is positive 8. And you can say that 8 will be greater than 7. So in this case, it means that x is greater than 7 and or x is less than negative 7. X is less than negative 7. And therefore, we can say in general that if you have an absolute value, let's say in general, if you have the absolute value of, let's say, x is less than b, then x is less than b, but greater than negative b. And 2, if the absolute value of x is greater than b, then x is greater than b, or x is less than negative b. X is less than negative b. One more example. For example, if you have the absolute value of x plus 4 is less than 12. So this means that either x plus 4 is less than 12, or x plus 4 is greater than negative 12. So if you go with x plus 4 is less than 12, it means then x is less than 8. And on this other side, x plus 4 is greater than negative 12, then x is greater than negative 16. So our value of x is the value that is between negative 16 and 8. Any value exclusive will satisfy x plus 4 is less than 12. Any value here will satisfy our inequality. The absolute value of x plus 4 is less than 12. So for example, if you take x is 10, then not 10, suppose we take negative 10 somewhere here. If x is negative 10, then we shall have negative 10 plus 4 is less than 12. The absolute value of negative 6 is less than 12. The absolute value of negative 6 is 6 is less than 12. And this is true. It satisfies the inequality, or that system. The absolute value of x plus 4 is less than 12.